Welcome to Four Corners of the Galley Movie Review Show. This is our inaugural episode, and on this inaugural episode, we'll be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume
2.
Yes, the great sequel after the first edition of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, which brought us the great Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, Rocket, and Groot, and together they formed the great Guardians of the Galaxy, and now we're on their second adventure.
Which only, fun fact, takes place 3 months after the first movie.
Exactly, in case you didn't know. So how this is going to work is, we're going to review, tell you our likes and dislikes of the movie, and then at the end, we're going to wait and do a spoiler section where we're going to let you know about all the little fun fact stuff that happened and talk about all the cool things we really don't want to spoil for anybody who hasn't seen the movie yet, and maybe he's just looking for an opinion on maybe to see the movie or not. So without further ado, let's get started. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, as RG said, takes 3 months after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And we catch up on the team on a great adventure, basically.
Yeah.
And basically in this great adventure, they're, fighting off people, and we kick off with doing the same stuff, fighting and having fun and, playing music just like from the original Guardians. And what I really liked about this movie was it had the team back together, and they really worked good again together. They were just great. Like, all the team members together just had a fun time. You could see they had a fun time on set, and just had that chemistry that you always want from a big group cast, which it's always hard to get sometimes when you get so many actors together. But when you get a good group of people together, and they're all having a good time, you can really see it on screen. Yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was a good second rebalance of the movie, of the trilogy, I should say, because many sequel-itis is usually the sequels would fall off after a great movie, but this one stays strong and turned out to be a great movie.
Very true. I have to agree with that. Most sequels never can capture the magic of the first movie, and with Guardians it was really hard to capture that magic again, but I must say they did a very good job. I don't feel like it was as good as Guardians Volume 1, but Guardians Volume 2 was probably the best pure sequel with the same director for the other one. I mean, the other one we can think of as better is obviously Captain America's Winter Soldier, which is just an amazing sequel. But Captain America First Avenger is nowhere in the same class as Guardians of the Galaxy. For us, the Guardians is still the #1 franchise as far as the first two movies in the Marvel world.
Yeah.
We think it's very good. Now, let's talk about a little bit about some of the things maybe we did not like about this movie.
In some parts, it did feel a little slow.
Yeah, there was a lot more dialogue for sure.
More character building.
Yeah, a lot more character building.
Which is nothing wrong.
Yeah, we got introduced to everybody, and they just got thrown together in the original volume. And then this time, we kind of dissect each member of the team and really, bring what they really are about. Because we really didn't get that much time, except for more like Peter Quill. We got to see his backstory and maybe a little bit of Gamora. But for everybody else, it was kind of like hearsay, this, say. So we got to dig deeper into the characters.
Yeah, they fleshed out Raccoon and Rocket and Drax, and even Yondu and Gamora more in this movie, which is appreciated, but I felt like those scenes could have been sped up just a little.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of dialogue. But, I mean, for me, I think the worst part, was the Gamora and Nebula relationship. Nebula, I just didn't feel like she really fit in this movie. She was kind of way out in her own little movie. It just really wasn't working for me. But, I mean, aside from that, Baby Groot absolutely steals the show. Drax with his one-liners are just great every single time. And we did get a bunch of new characters, too. We got Ego, the Living Planet, who is played by Kurt Russell, who is basically Peter Quill, Star-Lord's father. I mean, you do find out about that early, so I'm not spoiling anything on that.
Yeah.
And then we meet Mantis, who's basically living on Ego's planet, and we get to meet her, and she's a fun new character.
As like a servant to Ego.
Something of that nature, yeah. And we get to meet her, and all the interactions that happen with her are a lot of fun. Overall, I thought it was a very, very good, well-put-together movie. It had great action. You have a lot of stuff that goes really well in the movie. You have the same fun and excitement. I will admit that they didn't have the songs as much as they did in the first volume. I felt like the songs were a stronger presence in the movie. Well, this time it was more the action and the dialogue drove more because they brought you in now, so they want you to understand the characters more. So I do feel like maybe when they do Volume 3, because James Gunn has announced he's writing and directing Volume 3, that they put music back in and really emphasize. I mean, there was some great scenes with the music, but I mean, that could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. It was great. My overall rating of the movie, I would give it an 85. I'm more like an 83, 85. I felt like it was a fast. It was still a great movie. It had all the things you're looking for in a Marvel. Action-packed, fun, great humor, great characters. Christopher Pratt steals the show like he always does. He plays Star-Lord. He was built for this role. To me, it was still good. It had some things that were wrong with it, but overall, I felt like it really did a good job, and especially in the Marvel world, where Iron Man 2 was just absolutely horrible. Yeah. Thor 2 was absolutely horrible. And Avengers Age of Ultron,
I'll let down.
Yeah, it was not as good as close to the Avengers. So to get a sequel that doesn't get as close to it, but gives you that same flavor and makes you feel great about it, yeah, it's good.
My overall score, I would say, would be an 84, 83 as well. A very good movie. It did have a little flaws here and there, but overall, it's well done, well made.
So that's all we got for this time. In case you don't want to know anything about spoilers, please stop now.
This is spoiler bar right here. Wait until it's gone. Okay.
All right. Now, spoilers. There was a lot of spoilers in this.
A lot.
A lot happened in this movie.
I think the most impaired would be the villain of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it was straight Empire Strikes Back kind of takeoff, where you find and meet Peter Quill's father, Kurt Russell playing Eagle, the Living Planet, only to find out that basically he's been having kids all across the galaxy to find a mate for himself because he's a Celestial.
Which is another huge thing in the Marvelverse, because this is the first time they have confirmed Celestials in the MCU, which is huge, which can play a big part in Infinity War if they do it right.
Yeah, now that means basically gods have entered into Marvel, in case you don't know what that means, where DC is a god-based characters and Marvel is more about humans that get kind of things changed to them or find special abilities. Well, now you've introduced gods, so that opens the Marvel Universe to a lot more things. We'll have to wait and see what that means, but I mean, it was huge. So going back to Ego, he comes around and finally he's basically killed every other kid because they don't have the same power as Peter, and he wants to use Peter's power to inhabit every single world in all the galaxy because he's planted a little bit of himself everywhere. That was crazy. I didn't really realize it until Mantis kind of halfway through the movie started getting real hesitant every time she talked about Ego, and you can kind of sense that it was leading that way because I was always waiting for the other big bad to come. It just didn't.
Yeah, a good twist, because I always thought that the Sovereign, the other villains, but more of a side villain in the movie, were going to be the big villains because that's how the trailers were marketed. I was like, I wonder when they're going to come. And then they never did until the very end, which they did, but not a big presence. But when I found out Ego was the villain, I was shocked because in the comics, he's more of a neutral type character.
Yeah, well, the Sovereign were impressive. I gotta admit, their aircrafts were great. That virtual reality kind of big comb webbed everybody together fighting was kind of cool to see all that. I really enjoyed that. That was also a great point. And I must say, the most heartfelt moment that my entire family felt and I felt and he felt was that great moment at the end with Yondu. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I must admit, James Gunn, that was some beautiful writing. I heard he was hesitant to put that in. I'm glad he did. It hurts when you lose a good character like him, but it was beautifully done, and it was a good job. And Yondu will be missed. Michael Rooker is a great actor, and he's going to pop up in something else very soon. But let's talk about those post-credit scenes.
Yes. In the first time in all Marvel movies, there are five post-credit scenes. Yeah. Now, some of them are fun.
Yeah.
And some of them are big.
Yeah.
The first post-credit scene is Yondu's second mate, played by James Gunn's older or little brother? Little brother, where he's using Yondu's whistle helmet to control the needle, which then he stabs Drax.
Yeah,
and then
which is pretty funny. That's just the fun part.
That was the fun part. Another one, more important one, would be the High Priestess of the Sovereign, the leader of the Sovereign, pretty much. Isha, yes. Yeah. Where she talks about how the council is waiting for her to be probably expelled from her position, but then she's creating another one of her people named Adam, which references to the Adam Warlock character, who is a huge character in the Marvel comics, plays a huge part in both Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War comics, and most likely won't appear in them, but will probably 100% appear in Volume 3 of
Guardians. He's going to probably be the big baddie in Volume 3 to start it all off. He'll probably do the ones. And it might be one of those switcheroos where he starts chasing the Guardians. At the end, he might start to help the Guardians, so we don't know. But they could change. We're not going to. Don't hold us to that.
Another post-credit scene is actually a pretty big one, but also a funny one, where Stan Lee's in an astronaut suit, and he's chilling with the Watchers. Now, if you don't know, the Watchers in the comics are celestial beings that take no part in any action, but record all major events in the universe. That's just a little hint at Infinity War and how Stan Lee is like Celestial himself.
Exactly. There goes that keyword again, Celestial. So you got gods back in Marvel. See, big stuff.
That word's gonna be very important in Infinity War.
It will be. It will. And the last one is the last two are what? Let's see. I'm forgetting at this moment. Oh, you got Teenage Groot. Probably one of the best ones ever. I mean, that was absolutely hilarious, showing that Groot has grown up, and we probably will get a full-grown Groot when we get to Volume 3, because that's going to be 4 years from now. But I do not know what type of Groot we will get in Infinity War, which he's already been confirmed to be in. So that will be seen. Will be seen. Either he's going to be teenage or adult Groot. We'll have to wait for that.
More likely adult Groot, as teenage Groot was probably just a little nod.
And of course, in case you missed it, in the credits, coming down the little pictures, you had the Game Master played by Jeff Goldblum, who's now in Thor Ragnarok, and that was kind of a little hint because in the comic books he's brother to the Collector. So we'll see what that happens. I mean, that's big for the Marvel Universe going forward.
Yeah.
We would like to thank you for joining us on the first ever Four Corners of the Galley movie review. Until next time, thanks.
See you later.